Hello, my name is G Brzezinski, and I'm here on behalf of Teen Leadership to discuss spiritual bypass. For the uninitiated, spiritual bypass occurs when one uses their spirituality to avoid confronting unresolved personal, interpersonal, or systematic issues. Growing up as the son of a minister, I could give you many examples of spiritual bypass that I've seen in my life. But upon viewing this formalized definition for the first time, I was drawn to the idea of systemic bypass. And admittedly, part of this comes from my own identity as a gay trans man, but I think part of it goes deeper. Because with personal and interpersonal issues, the people around you can notice these issues, can notice how they're affecting you, and can tell you to stop ignoring them, or using spirituality to ignore them. But with systemic issues, the people around you are likely to share the same unconscious biases that you yourself hold. And this is through no fault of your own. It's a result of the systems of oppression and marginalization that we have all been raised under, systems that continue to plague us despite hundreds of years. But while it is not our fault, it is our responsibility to begin to dismantle these unconscious biases and examples of systematic bypass. Our first step is actually relatively simple, but as all simple things are, very hard to do. And that step is to connect. We need to connect with others that we think are unlike us. Of course, on a spiritual level, we know that we are all one, but on a more worldly level, it is very easy to let division get in the way. So we need to connect with people outside of our normal sphere of influence, of connection, and maybe even of safety, if that's possible. Teen Camp is actually a great way for us to do this, or at least for us teens. We had 3 camps this year, one in California, one in Oregon, and the one I attended in Colorado. And the one in Colorado was actually also attended by teens from Florida that I never would have gotten the chance to meet in everyday life. And I'm so glad that I was able to make those connections with them. The next step is also quite simple and even harder, and that step is to listen. To truly listen to the perspectives of people different than us. And to change our perspectives, if that shift needs to happen. To be open to the idea that they might be right in ways that we are wrong, and therefore act accordingly. This can be very difficult because for many people, their ideas are part of their identity, and an identity shift is very difficult. But we all know that we do not want an identity based on biases, unconscious or not. And therefore, I believe that we are all willing to do the work to begin to dismantle these biases by connecting with those around us and those far from us, and by listening to their perspectives that we do not have. And finally, we need to begin to take action. This action will be imperfect as we are all imperfectly human, but it is important that we begin to take what we have learned from our new connections, our new friends, and our new family, and apply it to the real world. I'm reminded of a metaphor by Sharif Abdullah in his book, Creating a World That Works for All, in which he describes 2 groups of people attempting to cut their way through a wood. The first group gets started very quickly, but their tools quickly rust or degrade or bend or break. However, they never actually take time to fix their tools, and their progress quickly slows to nothing. The other group spends the entire time sharpening their tools to the finest of points, but never actually enters the forest to use them, and therefore makes even less progress than the first group. Too many of us, I believe, are in that latter group, and I am not exempting myself from this. When we get so focused on inner spirituality that we forget to consider the world around us and how our spirituality may help others, or how our spirituality may prevent us from recognizing systemic issues, we are failing to enter this forest. And our spirituality can absolutely be a roadblock, because while it does give us greater empathy and greater ability to connect with others that we deem unlike us, it also can prevent us from recognizing the validity of their experiences. If we are so focused on how unified and how one we all are, it can prevent us from recognizing why people don't feel connected to their divine inner self, why they don't feel connected to the rest of us. If we are so focused on achieving a world of egalitarianism and equality, we might forget to recognize that we do not currently live in that world, and therefore we need to take steps towards it and listen to those who are impacted negatively by it. And CSL is not the only organization that faces systematic bypass. We can see it in the Christian denominations that are so focused in a life after death that they forget to consider the plight of their fellow men and women and others here on Earth today, or how their actions can directly be contributing to climate change, as we can see in the televangelists who spend all of their money on huge jets and not their community. Closer to home for me, we can see it on TikTok. For those of you smart enough not to have a TikTok, it's a video-based social media app in which people can share short videos of 1 to 2 minutes in length on any topic they like. And one of these topics is spirituality. This is not problematic in itself, but it becomes problematic when people are told that symptoms of anxiety, of depression, of isolation, of alienation under exploitative systems are not actually symptoms of these worldly causes, but are instead symptoms of some form of spiritual enlightening or awakening. And of course, those are goals. But when we are told that the world around us is inherently unreal and that we are about to change form into something different, something completely unimaginable, in a way that neglects our relationships here on Earth that currently exist, that's a problem. And it's leading to the rise of disassociation, depersonalization, further impact of these mental disorders that these kids and teenagers like myself are already developing, as well as greater isolation and disconnection. Obviously, none of that is good. So we need to recognize that while spirituality is a very important tool, it is not the entire toolbox, and it can in fact be a roadblock. However, hope is not lost. Like I said, spirituality is a very good tool for us to have. It allows us to connect with others deemed unlike us, or even deemed by society or our own past biases as unworthy. And it allows us to have empathy for them in a way that allows us to listen. We need to start taking action. And we need to do it now, because cultural change is a very long and messy process. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So it doesn't matter when we start, as soon as we start, as soon as possible. And we need to begin to connect with others that we deem unlike us, to recognize the differences they have in experience and the oneness that they have in spirit, to change our perspectives based on theirs, and to take action to rectify the injustice that exists in our communities. Again, it will not be easy. It will make us uncomfortable because it will mean recognizing our own biases and the hurt we may have caused in the past. And it won't be quick, but it is completely worth it. So I thank you for your time.